1-up mushrooms hide abundantly in Super Mario 64, behind walls, an exclamation box, or invisible spots that suddenly sprout a jubilant fanfare. Some green shrooms stoically harden in a chosen anchor point until Mario grabs them, but the ones that pop out, so to speak, will crawl about the ground, eventually fading from reality if Mario can't pick them up in time. Some slow and nonchalant, while others actively shuffle away from Mario. Get over here, you little... Oh no. What is your deal? But there is a special set of 1-up mushrooms that appear exclusively at the tops of trees or poles. And these will magnetize towards Mario, essentially guaranteeing a pickup. What you might not know is these mushrooms will pursue Mario relentlessly, across the entire stage if they have to, unwavering in their determination. I first encountered this variant in Tick Tock Clock, gathering footage for another video, and at the time I thought it was the only one of its ilk in the whole game. Curiosity got the better of me, and I quickly latched onto the potential for a little challenge here. Could we, potentially, grab every single star in the level while this green mushroom is chasing us? As of this script, I now know this is a pretty well-trodden and worn challenge, which I'm not too surprised to learn about. Super Mario 64 is one of those games that's been dissected to an insane degree, down to the smallest positional unit. This one YouTuber, Simpleflips, you know, the guy that left a cryptic comment on my Yoshi's Story video, still not sure what that's about. He's already gone through every star in the game using a special mod, and you can find that video in the description. But today is the story of a particular mushroom, lacking very much skill, accidentally picking one of the hardest levels in this challenge as his first one. This is the Green Demon Challenge Tick Tock Clock Particular Rule Set.
Boom.
Particular mushroom. The original task for this challenge when it cropped up 17 years ago, wow, 17, was pretty simple. Spawn the 1-up mushroom and then collect each of the 8 red coins followed by the star, without of course the 1-up reaching you. This limited scope likely stems from the fact that this special homing mushroom did not spawn in every course and area. Lethal Lava Land had red coins, but no seeking shrooms. Only with the power of modding was the challenge extended to every possible star in the game. I myself was not too interested in the red coin star for reasons you shall see, and I obliviously extended the challenge to all 6 stars in Tick Tock Clock just to see what was possible. In that regard, attempting the other 5 stars from this poll is relatively new, and brings me now to the rules, which is the following. 1. I must spawn in the 1-up mushroom by jumping off this pole. I cannot activate the 1-up mushroom by any other means. And 2. I must grab each star before the 1-up mushroom touches Mario and grants him an extra life. That's it. Everything else is fair game. Although, side note, I do have a save state at the pole, but I'm otherwise trying to beat the challenge without any emulation add-ons, i.e. no save states during a run. And so we first begin with the easiest star of the stage, the pit and the Pendulums. The 1-up that begins the challenge is practically parallel with this mission's star, a quick jog across the floor. Thus, an easy first star and a short warm-up before the struggle really kicks off. Just watch out for this nerd, of course. The next one I went for was Get a Hand, which all things considered isn't too difficult, but immediately pressures your knowledge of game mechanics and familiarity with the stage. The first issue to hornswoggle me was, of course, the horrendous camera. Camera's actually fine enough when climbing upwards on a normal playthrough, but down and backwards it absolutely refused to let me see where I was going. I eventually jerry-rigged a setup to see ahead with Mario Cam, but there was a second problem. The clock hand only appears on scene with Mario close enough to it, meaning I was essentially blind when free-falling towards the star. This star, as I found out, was tucked well enough inside the small alcove that it was impossible to simply long jump into it, conjecturing that I must therefore use the clock hand to prop up a jump or two to get Mario inside. Turns out that's completely false. By a bit of inquisitive luck, I dropped off this ledge here and gave a forceful kick to nudge Mario into the slot. The maneuver was a bit finicky and proved to undo me several times, but anything was better than an invisible clock hand that drew into view at the last second. I was, after all, given chase by an overly friendly mushroom, with little time to spare waiting for a sluggish limb to line up. But there was still a problem of the mid-air kick. This move is a bit fussy, becoming a dive if Mario is moving along too fast. But also, you are required to jump first. If you simply walk off a ledge, a dive is always conferred as well. But while Mario's legs are broken, you can't jump. A ground pound to break the fall allows the shroom to catch up, and a dive will often bonk the wall. But eventually, patience and practice paid off with a string of calculated moves.
Here we go!
The star just above this one, roll into the cage, seemed a lot trickier. Doesn't help when you get invisible walled. Knowing what I do now, I would just round the bend counterclockwise and enter from the correct direction. But the jump at the time seemed impossible, what with Mario breaking his kneecaps and all. Still, this one took just a handful of minutes, as I discovered something useful. The one-up, it seemed, gets blocked by level geometry. And sure enough, with a swift backwards kick into the cage, the shroom was barred from entry. And along with it, the next star was free for the taking. It is precisely this discovery that makes stop time for red coins so easy. Before that though, I'm done with this wibble-wobble time or whatever you call it, so let's enter the level with the big hand on the 12 to, as the naming suggests, stop all object movement completely. Now, if you simply catch the one-up in the grate above this section, 6 of the 8 red coins fall under this umbrella, and the last 2 in the danger zone are conveniently right next to the spawn star. I scarcely believed this one ended up second easiest of all, but here we are. Now though, all of the easy stars were finished. The last 2 in the level would require us to go up. Timed jumps on moving bars is up next, and though it wasn't a long distance away, the choke point right at the start is pretty devious. There's no way to climb into the upper section of the clock except this one spot, and I was completely mystified on how it might be possible. You normally have to wait for this platform to ride you up, but we don't have time for waiting. I figured I could side flip wall jump at least, but I kept grabbing the ledge, which is an immediate run killer. If I was gonna get this, I thought, I'd have to get a bit more crafty. I surmised that I could block the one-up somehow. Maybe I could trap the one-up inside this cage. That could work, but how in clock would I get it in there? Unlike most more spacious courses, the clock is confined to a single octagon, which gives little room to make a breakaway. If you ever get a serious distance away from the one-up, you'll have to turn soon enough, allowing the shroom to simply take the hypotenuse and catch up, which means there's limited room to corral the one-up inside the cage without going in yourself, which is a sure and dead end. Well, I was still on the right track. If you get into the cage with the one-up safely blocked above you, you may notice that the shroom drags along at a slower pace because of the friction on the ceiling. This gives Mario space to hop out of the cage and then into the cubby below. Now we just need the one-up to drop down, and with a little finagling, you can jump forward to dislodge the one-up and immediately pull back to draw it back into the cage. Boom! With a wall on all 4 sides, it seemed near impossible for the shroom to escape. But just as I pulled away on the hand fairy, this happened. The one-up broke free. Massively disappointed, I was unsure what to do next. But I noticed the one-up still caught on the cage. It must be something about the corner that it glitched out. Perhaps, if we found another grate, we could trap it on that. Failure here, failure there. The continual problem was getting Mario on top and the one-up underneath. I could block the one-up in many places, but never below Mario. I soon settled on the grate above the red coins. If there was anywhere that would work, this would be it. How remained a steadfast issue. Because Mario starts above this grate, we would have to get him below it first, have the one-up follow behind, and then thread the needle and poke back up with enough headway to trap the one-up as it makes its hypotenuse. The small slot seemed the perfect place to come up, but where would we enter? Well, there was only one good option. Right here. When Mario slammed down and broke his kneecaps, he seemed to barely fit through the opening enough to drop down and swing back up. After a handful of attempts, I got this. And with that, any dreams of trapping the 1-up were dashed. For some reason, it clips through floors from underneath. I thought I hallucinated this fact earlier, but this confirmed it. And soon enough, a final piece of evidence surfaced too. The reality had caught up to me. If I was gonna get this star, I would need to do it with raw performance, no funny business. I had soon organized the first section, which was to get a double wall kick, as awkward as it felt. The first one short and the second long, and at a precise angle to land atop the hexagon. Still, the second half had a misty air about it. I had to turn around at some point to enter the cage. My first thought was to block the 1-up with the back wall of the cage, but how would I get up that way? I gave it an honest effort, even got up there, but no matter what, the 1-up was just too close to get caught on the wall. I had to find a way to U-turn. As alluded to already, the stuffy quarters of the clock really projects the 1-up as a larger threat than normal. There are numerous strategies to avoid this thing. Mario's base running speed is ever so slightly faster than the shroom, and you can easily run around in circles without getting tagged. A long jump, wall kick, or any burst of speed can break away and create plenty of distance. But what's most surprising, you can side flip on a coin to completely switch direction. It only works at a distance of about 1 to 6 Marios away, but can keep the run alive even in narrow corridors. With that in mind, we now have plenty of options for getting into the cage, but no obvious ones. While there are dozens of possibilities, we need one that is both quick and reliable. The soon-developed strategy was to side flip onto the second bar and then kick into the cage. The trial runs were successful, but I kept catching this small ledge in the corner during the qualifying round, and soon had enough. My first change was to switch back to stopped time, as too many runs died off a bad cycle. And after some more experimentation, I found a spot on the wall where a wall kick placed me directly onto the third bar, where Mario's foot was aligned with this metal rail. The key feature being that Mario would face left this time, with a simple jump now putting me at the star. In other words, if I got the wall jump at the right spot, all remaining moves were free. Side flips can work. Wall kicks will work. However, hitting that spot proved extremely tricky. Not only did the location have to be correct, but the angle as well. And the camera would slope into the absolute worst view for this, obfuscating the wall directly behind the second bar. And here's where the final piece of the puzzle locks in. You've seen me use it in the video already, but this is the first time I needed its help. The fixed camera. I didn't even know what this feature did for 20 years, but as a video producer, I now find it essential for good framing. What the fixed camera does is lock the camera into one position on the map. No matter where Mario goes, the camera can only change the rotation. This allows you to put all objects of interest in frame, and for this situation, ensure that when I reach this location, the camera will always face the exact same spot on the wall so I can get the jump as consistent as possible. And with that, everything is now in place. But sorry, one more thing, I promise. In order to set up the fixed camera, you can't simply climb the pole as that would activate the 1-up mushroom. Instead, you have to wall kick here to climb up to the spot, lock the camera with R, and scramble back down to the pole. And yes, you have to hold down R the entire time, but it was well worth it. Almost immediately, I got this.
Here we go!
Gosh, Mario is just so majestic dashing across that crisp camera placement. What a satisfying maneuver to pull off. But that's not it, is it? We still have Stomp on the Thwomp to do. And this one seems impossible, for me at least. Sure, I've mastered the clock up to this height, but there's a hefty section I have not even touched. The bar parade, kooky conveyors, blades of doom, and of course, Master Thwomp himself. This is not good, Patrick. This is not good. However, these are not the real issue. I can learn some new stuff. The true problem is here. I could not figure this part out. I already tried this section from the previous star, you remember, and tacked onto that double wall kick first meant even if I figured this part out, I would have to flawlessly perform just to have a go at all the rest. But I can't just not finish the last star. You know what? Forget it. I don't care anymore. It's rewind time. Yup, on Switch 2, NSO now supports the rewind feature for Nintendo 64 games. And not gonna lie, it's invaluable for learning skills and strats without restarting from the beginning of the level after every single failure. Sure, I can't beat this last star in one go like the others, but I can at least put in the work, forge the strategy, and show it's possible. Speaking of which, after starting with the double wall kick from the prior star, I turn left and double jump wall kick again to get onto the cubes. I sincerely thought I would be approaching from this direction, but turns out that's a complete trap. From here you can simply jump to the next cube, where you must quickly turn and wall kick again with a slight leftward tilt, so you can immediately start running when you land. The bar parade is honestly a non-issue, and similarly are the kooky conveyors, but generally speaking, stepping onto that first conveyor is a mistake. Skip that one. Then if you're silly like me and have the gizmos moving, chances are the Blades of Doom will be a problem. To counter this, I tried to just run another loop around the track, but you know, the camera is stupid. Instead, I used the side flip strategy to ping-pong a bit until the blades lined up better. From here you should probably just veer right, but the double triangles are interesting because I found the only way to pass them is by long jumping into the wall and getting a wall kick off. Cool move, shame it's completely unnecessary. Perhaps you are wondering how on earth the right path would do any good when there is no obvious way to climb up to Master Thwomp. What, did you think a sharp slope could stop the Mario? All you have to do is get off a triple jump, which I'll admit is completely awkward since you bonk so soon after the second jump. But with that, you are just a side flip and a hop away from this towering star. Oh, Mario, what is that?
Here we go!
And there you go, that's all 6 stars in Tick Tock Clock in the Green Demon Challenge. Asterisk. Then I got thinking though. The interesting thing about the rewind feature is you can only reverse time. That allows you to undo mistakes, but rewind can't use cheat codes or beat the game for you. And now, the entire strategy was mapped out. The only thing really left to do was string it all together. So after a few days, I decided to put on the old gamer cap, my trusty DT990 Pro, lock in, and give it one more solid try. I was pretty on point with my initial assessment. Crunching just a little practice in, I got all the new stuff down pretty consistently. Oh, and I stopped time to make these blades without Doom. It was indeed everything in the first 10 seconds that gave me trouble. I got maybe one go at the upper section every 20 attempts, because the string of jumps to get past the cubes was pretty rough. This is primarily because jump height has to be regulated. Too high here and you flew off, or here it lets the 1-up catch up. But too low and, well, the ledge grab of ruin. Eventually, though, runs were reaching Thwomp when the true terror of the night swooped in. Invisible walls. There were 3 pretty egregious danger zones on the route. This spot near the beginning, one at the kooky conveyors, and worst of all, right at the end. Because let me tell you, sometimes Master Thwomp isn't in the right position when you get up here, more or less failing the run, so when you finally get an attempt where everything lines up perfectly, yeah, I think you'd be mad! I wouldn't blame anyone for using a rewind at this point, but the 990s are still on. I'm not done trying yet.
So long.
And after a gear rusted full of attempts, I finally got this one. Oh no, this angle won't do, you can't see anything. Oh, I know. Let's use that fixed camera one last time.
Here we go!
There it was, for reals this time. Put that asterisk in the trash. Wow, that one was crazy. And I think because of the invisible walls, I put this star firmly into not worth category. However, overall, I'm a fan of this challenge, and appreciated the wide utilization of moves and techniques needed to grab each star. Getting a use out of the fixed camera was an awesome surprise, and probably my favorite thing to show off this video. The one-up blocking techniques were fun too, but I think this challenge would have a lot more mileage if the mushroom complied with collision better, because as it stands, the most difficult stars are just speedrun with extra steps. That said, it's a good show of the rewind feature on NSO, which makes tricks and glitch hunting much more engaging. When you see an opportunity somewhere, you can simply try it without worry of losing 10 minutes building up the prerequisites again. Once the strategies are mapped out, I always try to play the challenge in a single unbroken run. Personally, I enjoy the experience better that way. And lately I've tried to pick mods within my skill level so in casual gaming sessions I can avoid the use of save states altogether. I gotta say, I'm always conflicted about these save state-like features. On one hand, it cheapens the victory and degrades the authenticity of these difficult tasks, while on the other hand, games are meant to be fun, and the tastiest meat of the challenge is really discovering the strategies and the effort to learn the techniques. You still need to do the thing. A rewind button just breaks up the challenge into chunks. Upon reflection, I think, like many things in life, the middle ground is the best approach. Those who can string it all together in one go should be lauded with the highest praise and perhaps an in-game reward of some sort. But having accessibility options allows more people to experience your art and share discussions with others. After all, without save states, I wouldn't be making this video. I hope my commentary has added a unique perspective into the mix.
What about 100 coins?
What?
100 coins?
There's the 100 coin star to do still? I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, fine.
Here we go!
Happy? Now get out of my sight and have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching. Hey all, part of the reason I wanted to make this video was to let folks know that the shorter video I was working on turned into a 30-minute behemoth for quality control reasons, which is why I missed the entirety of February. What I've discovered is most videos worth their salt, at least the kind I like to make, take weeks of effort. This one even I wanted to be half the length it ended up. So I think the schedule I posted a while back is untenable at this point. I'm just gonna make videos when I have the time and put them out when they're ready. It would be very cool if I could make YouTube a career one day, but I think we're squarely dropping this back into the hobby bin for now. I do not know when or what the next video will be, but you can count I'll be chipping away at it. I'm not disappearing again. Thank you all for your support. Oh, and shout out to Simple Flips. I have no quarrel with him, but it is true I have no idea what that comment is even talking about. It's just a meme, right? And I'm overthinking it as usual? That's gotta be it. I try very hard to be a good person. I am not a villain, I hope.